Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off first and foremost by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakal. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutations to those that are doing this work in truth and sincerity. This is your brother Nathan Yala coming back at you through the Spirit with another lesson. And I pray and hope this lesson is edifying. This lesson is going into, I set before you life and death, the dietary laws. Now, I'm going to play a video in just a second. But, the Lord, everything that the Lord does it was done for a purpose. Now, just because the Lord didn't tell us what that purpose was, doesn't mean that it wasn't a purpose, a necessary purpose. Okay? The Lord doesn't do anything for nothing. There's always a reason, a profound reason behind it. And a lot of times the reasoning behind the Lord doing whatever it is that he does or commanding whatever it is he's commanding, sometimes, especially in the ancient world, was above, a person's understanding. So you just do it. There's no need for you to know why I'm telling you not to do it. Just do it. Okay? But ultimately, at the end of the day, these things the Lord had commanded us to do are life. Okay? And that's what the law was all about. The law was all about keeping us separate, keeping us holy, and breathing life into Israel. Now, although, Israel went off and we did things that were not according to the law, which caused, the situations that we're in right now. There are certain parts of the law in Babylon that even though we're in Babylon right now, we can adhere to very simple things. In this particular instance, I'm going to be discussing the dietary laws. Okay, so this is Deuteronomy 30:19. It says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. You see that? So the Lord told us to choose life. That means that the things that he needed us to do were things that he commanded us to do were things that breathe life into us. Okay? That's why he said choose life. It means do as you're told. Okay? Because those things that you were told will breathe life into you and into your seed. Okay? And you will live. All right? And one of those things was very simple, was the dietary laws. Okay? And we still see Jake eating shit that he has no business, and you wondering why you're having these diseases that you have. You're wondering why these sicknesses are coming about. You're wondering why you can't be cured of anything, because you're doing the things the Lord told you not to do as far as what you're putting into your body. And these things have a consequence. Putting the wrong thing in your body, or the things that you were commanded not to put in your body, has a consequence. Okay? It has a consequence. And we already live in a land where the food is completely defiled. And you're going to go a step further and put those things that are in your body that don't even belong there. Okay? So, I'm going to play a video, and then we're going to go into the scriptures. All right? So, let me go ahead and grab it.
Fins but no scales.
All right, so this is just Trudeau, I believe, or Kevin.
Why? So
Kevin Trudeau.
Why? So a catfish has fins but no scales. You would stay away from that. Squid, octopus. They're not shellfish, but you stay away. No scales, no fins. Why? Anything that doesn't have scales and fins, shellfish, and the other items I mentioned, squid, octopus, catfish, they're filters. They absorb whatever toxin is in the water, and they keep the toxins in their flesh that you are eating. This is why when I grew up in Boston, we had sometimes the red tide. The red tide would come in, which are these red microorganisms like an algae, and they're poisonous. You couldn't swim. You couldn't go out and swim in the ocean. If there was a red tide, you'd get sick. But you also couldn't eat the shellfish that came out of Boston Harbor or the area, because those shellfish absorbed the toxin in the water, and you would get sick or potentially die from eating anything that came out of the water when there was a red tide.
You see? Now, that's one of the breakdowns. All right? Now, I'm grab another video that I came across where they're saying how, they dye, if I can find it, they dye shrimp to make it look more pink because they're really gray. And the purpose of shrimp in the sea from the scientific perspective. So just let me find it real quick.
It's the worst food a man and woman could put in their body. Shrimp is toxic because they are considered bottom feeders and they eat the scraps of other fish, poo, microplastics and other debris that falls at the bottom of the ocean. Shrimp are very good at eating garbage and people use shrimp to clean fish tanks. But if you eat fried shrimp or shrimp with anything, you are poisoning yourself. For those of you who purchased my ebook, you would know that even the Bible warns us we are not allowed to eat shrimp. Shrimp is the worst food a man...
All right, now, she said that the Bible warns us, but that's the only warning you need. Okay, all this other scientific shit that they're coming up with, all this is them discovering that the scriptures were actually true. All right? So all those things, shrimp, lobster, crab, anything without fins or scales, pig, these dirty birds, all that shit was never meant for human consumption. Okay? The heathen eats that shit. And, when we were scattered amongst all the heathen, among all of the heathen, this is when we started to adopt these practices. Because the heathen would eat anything. Look at these damn Asians out here. They'll eat Asians. They'll eat anything. All right? So let's go back to the scriptures. Let's go to Leviticus, the 11th chapter. And let's just read some of what the Lord told us not to eat. This is Leviticus 11. It says, I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel. Now the Lord gave specific animals that we cannot eat. All right, but as a rule of thumb, if they're not cloven footed and chew the cud, we cannot eat them. It has to be both. It says, nevertheless, you should not eat them that chew of the cud, that divideth the hoof, as the camel, because it cheweth the cud, but it does not, but it divideth not the hoof. It is unclean unto you. The corny, because it cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, it is unclean unto you. And the hare, because it cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, it is unclean unto you. And the swine, though it divided the hoof and be cloven footed, yet it cheweth not the cud. He is unclean unto you. He's a cleaner. He's a filter. He cleans the earth. And they keep these toxins in their flesh. Okay? They keep these toxins in their flesh. They were designed for that, to clean the earth. Okay? It says, of their flesh you should not eat, and their carcasses should not ye touch. They are unclean unto you. So you can't even touch dead pork or dead any animal that's unclean, that's dead. You can't even touch it. All right. It says, these shall you eat that are in the waters, whatever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, thou shalt ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the sea and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. All right. So all of these squid, octopus, shrimp, lobster, crab, all of those things are an abomination because they are cleaners. They are designed to keep the water clean, and they keep the toxins and the filth in their flesh. Okay? And when you eat their flesh, you're eating those toxins. They are unclean unto you. This is why the scriptures are very specific about this stuff. And the Lord, he lists animals that you can eat. He even gets specific and say, hey, you can eat this, you can eat this, you can eat this. You cannot eat this. You cannot eat that. Okay? And it's very simple. And it's a shame that, you hear Jake saying, oh, well, they taste good. Yeah, you can make anything taste good. You can make poison taste good. But should you still eat it? You know, there was somebody, I heard a story a couple years back, and, it went as such. There was a man whose children wanted to go to a movie, and it had a lot of dirt in it, a little bit of a dirty scene in it. And the father was like, no, y'all can't go. And they begged the father, and they begged the father, and they begged the father. And finally, the father said, okay, listen, I'm going to bake y'all some of my famous cookies, because the father was known for baking famous cookies. Okay? His cookies were known throughout the neighborhood of being some of the tastiest cookies. And they said, okay, well, we'll stay and bake the cookies. So he made the batter, put the chocolate chips out there, and they had a dog. He went outside, and he grabbed a tiny teaspoon of shit, and he put it right in front of his boys. He put it right in the batter and mixed it up. He baked the cookies. They smelled good. They looked normal. And he laid them out in front of him. He said, go ahead and eat these cookies. And the boys looked at the cookies and looked at him and they said, no, we ain't eating that. You put shit in it. And he said, well, I only put a little bit, though. Scriptures talk about how a little leaven leavened the whole lump. Okay? Scriptures talk about how my people are stiff-necked people who would not hear the Lord. You won't hear the Lord. You won't hear what the Lord is telling you. You think that shit is good, and it is not good to eat that shit, man. All right? That stuff is terrible for you, and you wonder why you have diabetes and high blood pressure and gout, and hypertension, and you have strokes, and you're obese, and you have all of these different diseases in your body. It's because of what the fuck you're eating, man. All right? Disease can only enter the body through the mouth. That's the only way it can get in there. It's through your mouth. What you eat is going to it's going to be, that's why I brought out the scripture, choose life, because what you eat is going to directly dictate your health. If you're eating bullshit and putting crap in your body and poison in your body, even if it's just a little bit, it accumulates over time, and 10 years go by, 15 years go by, you're eating that poison, and before you know it, you're sick as hell. You're holding the toxins that the unclean animals that you've been eating in your flesh now. And your flesh was never meant to hold that. It's just that simple. But you can't tell Jake shit, man. You can't tell them nothing. All right? Now you got these people that look like Edomites, which they could be Jakes, now telling you, no, this shit is not good for you. This is terrible for you. You shouldn't be eating this. Shrimp is one of the worst things you can eat. They hold the poison in their flesh. And just because you think it's a little bit, you think it's good, it's good. And you're the exact opposite of that story. A lot of y'all know that shit. Hey, the shrimp is actually the counterpart to the roach on land. Okay, the scriptures talk about how the Lord created everything in twos. He created a land roach. He created a sea roach. And you ain't gonna go in the garbage. Some of y'all might. You ain't gonna go in the garbage and grab some roaches and boil them and eat them, but you will some shrimp, because you're not understanding. And roaches do the same thing on land as shrimp do in the sea. They eat the garbage. They eat the trash. This is why roaches carry disease. But you ain't gonna go eat them. But when somebody tell you that these damn shrimp are terrible for you, ain't gonna take my shrimp away, or I'm gonna eat that swine. Hard-headed ass niggas. And you wonder why you're sick. The dietary law was given to us for a reason. And the heathen understands that if he can keep us eating these bullshit ass foods, that's why they're everywhere. That's why you shrimp, lobster, crab, and all that stuff is everywhere. Because if they can keep Jake eating that shit, they'll keep you on a low level, because it affects you in every way. These abominable foods affect you in every way. Physically, mentally, and spiritually. They take you completely out the game. Okay? And this is why you have these Jakes, showing off on how much lobster and crab they eat and having heart attacks and dying and shit like that. Because not only are you eating the poison, but you're trying to teach others that it's okay for you to eat that shit, man. And that is not okay. It is time to stop eating that shit, man. Okay? It's been time for that. All right? But Jake ain't gonna hear this. Jake ain't gonna understand, man. You got to be careful what you put into your mouth. You know, the scriptures talk about how your body is a temple. So you got to understand what you're putting into your body. You just can't throw anything down your throat. Your body is a sophisticated machine, man. And it requires a specific. It's like you ain't gonna put no goddamn 85 fuel in a tank that takes a high octane fuel, are you? Well, that's us. We require high octane fuel, the highest quality stuff to eat. Is what the Lord set for us to eat. All right? And not only did he tell us what we can eat, he told us how to prepare it too. So we can get the most out of it. You know? So, you know, this is just a quick hit. I just wanted to go into that real quick. The dietary laws, you know, things that, you know, we should avoid at all costs eating, you know, through the spirit and power. If you're eating that shit, you need to put it down and stop, change your diet, you know, because I guarantee you there's a lot of things that you may be going through that are caused by your diet. And just by stopping that shit, you may cause your health to get better. So with that, you know, remember, you know, your a lot of bad health comes from what you put to your mouth, whether it be food or drugs or alcohol, whatever it is, it's coming in through your mouth. All right. So you got to be mindful of that. So with that, I'm going to end it off by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostle, great millstone. To the next time, I say shalom.